riding. Hype happy hour, talking about life, so you might feel empowered. Hype happy hour, tornado on the mic with a guest giving power. Hype happy hour, tools, interviews, provide life tapping power. Hype happy hour, positive and light with advice, build your tower. Happiness is key, so you gotta bring the smiles out. Inspiration needs a bit of passion to just wild out. Positivity and optimism when we ride out. Enthusiasm and dreams, gotta feed them till your time's out.
Boom, boom, boom. Hyped Happy Hour, episode 54. Listen, I'm Gentle Tornado. I'm your host on this magical journey. I created a company called Live Hyped. Hyped is an acronym that stands for happiness, inspiration, positivity, enthusiasm, and dreams. If you look at the bottom left, the logo with an H with a heartbeat in the middle, because we never know how many heartbeats we have. So here at Hyped, we're on a mission to make positivity louder. We're on a mission to live every single day like it's our last, because we don't know what's coming next in our life, and just bridging the gap between personal life and people and their journeys in this amazing space that we're in. So today on episode 54, I am joined by an absolute goat in this space, an amazing person, a genuine person. Just I'm so excited to have you on, Deeze. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing well, man. Excited to finally get to talk to you. I've been watching your daily videos for a long time. Always put a smile on my face. So glad to join you and vibe a bit.
Let's go. I appreciate that a lot. So we started off with what we're grateful for today. So what are you grateful for?
Man, I'm grateful that I am not getting hammered by all this smog and wildfire smoke. We have some of it, but not nearly as bad as what's going on in the Northeast. Obviously grateful for my wife, my health, and just grateful to be here.
Yeah, absolutely love that. That smoke is insane, man. Like,
it's crazy. It looks like Fallout New York is happening right now.
It's like not safe to be outside, right?
Yeah, they were saying like something like the air index is like in the 250s, which is not good.
Oh my God.
So yeah, people should be a little cognizant of what they're doing out there.
I've done no research. Are we like looking at a few days? Are we just today? Do you know?
I think maybe through Saturday is what I read. So a few days, and then maybe if it rains, it'll go faster and clear up sooner. But yeah, I think it's going to be a multi-day thing. I don't think it'll be clear tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. And the worst place to happen that is in New York. 100%.
Well, the fires, yeah, they all happen in Canada, and then all the smoke is coming down, just kind of hitting everybody around there.
That's wild. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, listen, I'm grateful for that too. I'm as far west as I can almost get away from that. But you know, what we started off with is an origin story. So as much as you're willing to share, I'd love to hear about, you know, how you grew up and up to now and how you got in this space, and walk us through to where Deeze is now.
Yeah. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, right in the middle of a rust belt. If you drew a line between Cleveland and Pittsburgh and put a dot in the middle, somewhere around there. Wasn't much going on up there. Just got addicted to games at a really young age, between Cartoon Orbit and RuneScape on the computer, and then SOCOM, which turned into Call of Duty and Halo and Gears of War, and then built a PC a few years after that, got into League. I spent basically 8 to 16 hours a day playing video games most of my life, probably up until 2020 pandemic, once I started going a little harder into Uniswap and shitcoins. But yeah, so for me with crypto, I got in the space 2017. I put in a little bit of money from Daily Fantasy. Well, it was all of my money, but it was a little bit of money. I made a lot and then lost all of it in 2018, and then like started over from zero. Kept grinding, kept dollar cost averaging back into ETH and Tezos. And 2020 rolled around, Uniswap summer rolled around. I was working a IT job, and we were working from home because of the pandemic. And I was just spending 12 to 16 hours a day on shitcoins that summer, and got lucky. Just buying shit like the Tendies token and Anti-Ample and Alith and a bunch of other even stupider coins, and walked away up a pretty decent amount. Bought my first floor punk, flipped it, got addicted to flipping punks because it felt a lot like trading high value items in RuneScape, which is what I would do when I played RuneScape. So just kind of took that mindset of trying to market make expensive items and took that into NFTs. I got very lucky because I met Snowfro in the Punks Discord. He was selling punks to fund art blocks. I minted some squiggles and some other stuff when it came out because it was like, oh, Snowfro's the GOAT. This dude's super nice. I'm just going to buy this stuff and not really think about it. And shit just got kind of crazy. 2021 happened. Top Shot happened. Punks went to Christie's. Bored Apes came out. Meebits came out. That summer, every day there was like 6 PFPs minting, maybe more. Shit just kind of blew up. I started hosting spaces. I started collecting art because I had too much money. It was like, this is way too much, too fast. Start collecting some art. Then I started collecting art. It blew up. Like a Twin Flames went crazy, and Where My Vans Go went crazy, and a few other artists I collected from early, like Pop Wonder, blew up. And yeah, I mean, I just hosted a bunch of spaces and talked to all my friends and made a bunch more friends in the process. And then started a podcast where we only do in-person pods. And yeah, it's kind of where I'm at now. It's it's been quite a journey. That was kind of probably the quickest I've ever said it too. But yeah,
dude, that's wild. Like, listen, like how much money did you make? Like a lot.
I made over 1,000 ETH from like I put 2 ETH into Uniswap in the summer of 2020, and then by the end of 2021, that 2 ETH was worth over 1,000 ETH.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Actually, that's a lot. yeah,
it was just lucky. And I paid a ton in taxes and held way too many NFTs. I put a lot of that ETH back in NFTs, and some have went fine, some haven't went fine. Tax loss harvested them, but yeah, I'm super fortunate, super lucky. It was a crazy summer, and I'm just glad I was able to take advantage of it.
That's amazing. So really quick on your journey, I want to talk about something that you didn't touch on, but how did you get on Hex's podcast? Because that's when I first saw you, and I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. I was like, this is insane. So walk me through that. Walk me through how you felt on the podcast. Like, was that a big moment for you? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Hex is awesome. So Hex is somebody I've been following from 2008, 2007, like Call of Duty 4. Yeah. I would play a lot of game battles, and I'd get my ass kicked by Scump and Nadeshot, and JCap, and a couple of the people who were on the early Optic squad. And I was always aware of Hex. Like, he's kind of like the godfather of COD. Fast forward to 2021, stuff's going crazy. I'm making friends with a few gamers on Twitter, and I get to talk to them, and all of them, it's like, hey man, like I've actually been following you for like 10 plus years, not to be a creep. But brush shoulders with Hex. We talked about going on the pod. He saw some of my weed posts, and he obviously runs Pine Park. Yep. And was like, yo, you gotta come out for a pod. You can wear a mask, be anonymous, whatever, but I gotta talk to you about this NFT shit because you seem like somebody who knows what they're talking about, and you also smoke a bunch of weed, and kind of just fit right in there. So went out to LA. I believe it was after ETH Denver that year. I just flew from Denver to LA and hung out there for a couple of days, but that was crazy. I actually invested in Pine Park after hanging out with him and the team for a bit too. So it's just a really fun time, and it's like something I never thought would happen, but it's happened a lot with NFTs and the crypto space. Is you get to meet a bunch of my idols who I've looked up to for a while, and then they got to finally meet me because they see that I'm a credible person on the Bird app, tweeting all the fucking time, and that's just been a wild ride.
Dude, that is so awesome. So you're an investor in Pine Park. Has being in the right place, like as far as when it boomed and you doing so well, has that brought you just crazy amount of opportunities? I mean, you did just say like you met a bunch of people, but like, have you invested in other things besides Pine Park?
Yeah, I've maybe angel invested in 15 or so companies now. And there's some good ones like Arbitrum and Blur and established a Run, which is a daily fantasy site, and did well on Looks Rare, and there's probably a couple more I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But then the other ones I'm forgetting, most of them went to zero.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the game goes with angel investing. You get like a 10x plus, or it just goes to zero. But yeah, with a lot of opportunities comes a lot of saying no. I've said no to like hundreds of these opportunities to angel invest because I was saying yes to too many things in 2021 when things were good. And, luckily had some nice winners in there, but I started to realize that I had to be a little more cautious and a little more thesis driven before throwing money at people. Like, there's a lot of times where you just kind of get pressured by friends to write a $10,000 angel check. And those are a lot of the ones that went to zero.
Yeah.
Luckily I put more into the things that did well. Like a standard angel investment would be like 25 grand for me. So that would be like a standard unit. So when I would put 10K into something, it was like, I don't feel really confident in this, but I am friends with this person. Let's see what happens. And yeah, all those ones went to zero. Yeah. But it's important to learn how to say no. Like, I haven't angel invested in anything since I think May of 2022. I've just said no to absolutely everything. I think the companies raising now are raising maybe too much in the market environment, or too much for my taste, given the potential upside that there is. Like, I'd rather just have liquid ETH at under $2,000 or some other stuff rather than like locking up capital in a long-term angel investment.
No, I think that makes sense. Absolutely.
It's a lot different when ETH was like 3 or 4K and you could just sell like 6, 7 ETH and you're like, all right, got a nice angel investment. Yeah. Now it's, I'm selling over 10 ETH to get that same check, and it just feels a lot worse.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think definitely it's good to learn how to say no and go through that process is part of the journey. So I love it. So what we do is we go through every single word within Hyped, and we started off with happiness. But what I'm going to do first, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to read you my favorite definition of success. So it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So it's, what is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate the beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. How do you feel about that?
That's pretty damn good, dude. If you check all those boxes, you're probably feeling super successful.
Yeah.
If you can, especially the betrayal of people who you thought were friends, that's been an interesting one I've had to deal with over the last couple of years, where meet too many people and just, some of them are going to be bad apples, even though you think they're your friends. And dealing with that has been probably the hardest part of all this.
That's always
trying to have my, trying to cautiously look at, I'm very skeptical of everybody now. It's kind of a bad thing, probably. But I'm always looking at people like, okay, like, how are you trying to extract value from me? Because a few times shit just went really south when I thought I was cool with people. And it's just definitely made me put my guard up a lot more.
Yeah, no, for sure. Luckily, when I was working for my dad, like, I saw people that were my dad's customers for 20 plus years fucking steal from him. I've had one of my groomsmen actually rob the company of multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that was definitely a tough experience for me. And I was kind of prepped for Web3, but also there is like no prep. Like, this space is pretty wild, where one day it's this and you find out, you're like, whoa, something, you find out something, you're just like, no way. And just to what you said, like, that is super hard for me as well, because I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt until, something happens, they break the trust. But it's like almost like you have to like 50% give them the benefit of the doubt. You can't give them the 100% benefit of the doubt, because then you'll just get absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, the first question under happiness, I absolutely love this question. But so far in your life, what is the happiest moment?
The happiest moment. Probably the week that my now wife moved from Arizona to Ohio. It was we were in a long distance relationship for a little bit, and we'd see each other like 4 times a year, 3 times a year. And that was like a pain in the fucking ass. And once we moved in together, it was just like, I don't know. Everything else could go to shit, but since we had each other, we were just super comfy. And we knew that, like, even if we're both working shitty jobs at McDonald's or physical labor, like if it got that bad, like it still wasn't that bad because every day we were with each other. And that might sound cliche, but like it kind of gave me the backbone to take a bunch of risks and do a bunch of degenerate shit. And, you know, I'm pretty neurotic and up and down. And she's very much like a rock and a stable person. So that's probably my happiest moment. Because it was for a while I thought like, you know, maybe this wouldn't work out. Like long distance fucking sucks. Like maybe I'm wasting time doing this. And then once we moved in together, it was like, no, like this was all 100% worth it.
Yeah, it was the best decision you could have made.
Oh, for sure.
That's awesome. No, I don't think that's cliche at all. I mean, when I met my wife for the first day, it's probably the happiest moment of my life. So I absolutely love that. And I think honestly, most men are pretty wild and they have that rock, right? That's what makes almost the best marriages, when you have that rock you can go back to, because yeah, men do wild shit. It's just kind of in our nature, and we do really stupid stuff. Honestly, most of the time I mess up, I just tell my wife, like, listen, I just do stupid stuff. Like, it's just what I do, but I'll learn from it. And, you know, the next time it'll be something else that's stupid, not the same thing.
Yeah, they always look at you like, you know, you're fucking stupid, but I love you. But damn, it's like, it's kind of like, in a way, sometimes how you might look at like a dog, but not really, but like similar. Like your dog is just rolling around in deer shit or like a dead animal, and then comes back into the house, and you're like, just looking at the dog, like, yeah, you're just a fucking dog. Like that's how I feel like our wives look at us sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the next question is, how do you believe gratitude contributes to the pursuit of your happiness?
I think gratitude contributes to happiness in the sense that when you take I'm just going to tie this into like meditation. When you're thinking about everything in your life and everything that you have, and you explicitly, for me, I used to actually use a gratitude journal. I've kind of dropped off that habit in the last year, but for a while, especially in the bear market when shit was going south, I needed some positive things. So I would just write down a few things I was thankful for every day, and then a few things I was looking forward to either next week, tomorrow, next month, whatever. And it was just the process of like sitting there and intentionally writing it down. And you're like, yeah, my life's not that bad. Like I might have lost all that money, but like everything else is pretty good, and money can always be made back. So I think if you are thinking about gratitude and expressing it openly, then it is easier to be happy. But I think happiness like is a tough word, because like I feel like I'm a generally upbeat person, but I don't know if I'm always I don't want to say I'm always happy. Like think a lot of people don't spend a lot of time maybe being happy, even though they are grateful and they are thankful for their life. Because I'm just always trying to do better at something, and it's like there is happiness in getting better and improving, but it's more of a struggle in a way. Like it's spend more time struggling or suffering than just like being happy.
Yeah, no, I love
but that makes you appreciate the moments that like you're actually really happy more, like whether it's date nights or times out with friends at these events or whatnot. Like it makes you appreciate those moments more.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think, you know, the definition of passion is suffering. And so when you're super passionate about a lot of things, you do suffer, and you go on this journey to potentially find happiness, and gratitude keeps you grounded. And I love what you said about having the journal, because that's how I started my gratitude journey, was having a journal where I wrote in it every single day. And that is so pivotal in really grounding yourself in gratitude, because you know, it's kind of funny. You said this line, it's not that bad. And my number one line when I was selling in my last job, when I was running a franchise, was it's not that bad. I could almost convince anyone of anything by saying it's not that bad, because truthfully, there could be 1,000 things that you complain about, and it's not that bad. I promise you, it's worse in third world countries. And so if you have that like frame in your mindset is framed that way, then you can revert back to that gratitude. You might not be happy, like you said, but you can at least fall back to being grateful and not complaining, because those are toxic, behaviors.
Yeah, I had a physical labor job that was really hard on me. I was telling you before we started, but my freshman year of college, I was way more concerned about trying to be a professional League of Legends player and way less concerned about graduating college. And I failed most of my classes and lost all my financial aid. And then I got this job making $9 an hour, helping putting in like agricultural and equine fences. And I'd like wake up at 5 a.m., drive to my boss's house, load up the truck with a bunch of posts and wire and whatever the fuck else needed to be loaded, drive to the work site, have lunch at noon, work until 5, drive back to my boss's, get there at 6, and I'd get home at like 7 o'clock. So it was like I woke up at 5 a.m., I get home at 7 p.m., I'm making $9 an hour, and I'm just like looking down the barrel of a metaphorically loaded gun. And I, at that moment, was like, okay, I can't go back to college and fail again, because if I have to do a lifetime of physical labor, I'm probably going to kill myself before the age of 30. And anytime anything is going somewhat south in life, I just think back to when I was 19 working that job and how bad I felt. And it just feels like it's a nothing burger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. I love leaning back on moments in your life. And we'll talk about that later on in the pod. How do you balance pursuing your own happiness with considering the happiness of others in your life?
Yeah. Luckily right now, and maybe I don't consider the happiness of like my parents or in-laws or grandparents as much as I should, but just balancing like mine and my wife's, it's a lot of, I go really, really hard for periods of time, but then we schedule breaks, like whether it's date nights or days off or trips or something. But it's kind of this compromise. I got lucky, and my wife is like, she's not retired, but she doesn't have a job right now. Like once things went so well, it was like, there's no point for you to work your old job and like not see me, waking up at 6 a.m. and driving into the job and getting back at 5 p.m. and then being tired and making dinner and playing a game for an hour or two and going to bed. It was like, why don't you just like stay home with me and help around the house and do a bunch of other stuff? So super grateful for that. And I think that makes it easier to like schedule and do stuff during the day. We can go get lunch together. We can go walks. We can do whatever. She just built this really, really nice walk-in closet, basically all by herself. Just super impressive. But I think that's the easiest way for me, is just scheduling that time and then making sure that that's like sacred time. And it's going to happen. So it's not like, it's just, you're waiting for something to happen.
I love that. I love that she built the closet too. What's your favorite like hobby to do together?
We used to play a bunch of video games together, but over the last few years, we stopped doing that. We just do the really simple stuff. It's like when you're with somebody you like doing all the boring things together. Like I like going for a walk. I like going and getting food. I like exploring in nature. It's like anything and everything. Like watching TV together, watching shows and stuff. It's just like all the boring things are just fun. Content being with each other and vibing.
I completely agree. It just amplifies it. How has your perspective on happiness evolved or changed over your life, you think?
I think when I was younger, I would just escape into video games. Didn't make me happy per se, but I was super competitive and I needed a competitive outlet. But I would kind of escape into video games and leave my physical life behind in the pursuit of happiness. And as I got older, I definitely stopped escaping from reality as much and just started facing reality. And I think that made me a lot happier, seeing success in reality. Like I maxed my old school RuneScape account. I have 350 24-hour days played in that game. I have like 10,000 games of League, fucking years of Call of Duty. And it's just like, what do I really have to show for that? Compared to the 6 to 7 years I've put into the crypto space. Like And it's not even close. So yeah, focusing on reality and less on video games made me a 100x happier individual.
That is actually incredible, to be honest, because I grew up playing video games. We were talking this before the pod, but did you play World of Warcraft? Like, how did you not get into World of Warcraft?
So I grew up in a pretty poor family, and I had the same computer from 2002 to 2012. So that basically pigeonholed me into playing RuneScape, which is a Java-based game that runs in a browser. And my computer didn't have a graphics card, so like I couldn't download WoW, I couldn't play League, I couldn't play StarCraft. So I had a console. I saved up a bunch of money cutting my neighbor's grass and like my grandma's grass and a few other people I knew. And I saved up a bunch of money, bought an Xbox 360, and then that was like my lifeline out to the world until senior year of high school. I took my graduation money I got from my family and put that all toward the gaming computer, which I played League on.
That's awesome. And the best is, if you have a good like amount of money, you can build the sickest gaming computer.
Yeah, and at the time it was like $1,000, but it was good enough. Like I don't remember what graphics card I had at the time. It was like a Radeon 7780 or so. I don't remember what it was, but it was awesome because I could play League of Legends, I could play StarCraft 2, I could play any game I wanted. Eventually I got a 120 hertz monitor. That was sick, going from 60 to 120 hertz. Eventually got a mechanical keyboard. For a while, I was just using like a cheap $20 Logitech keyboard and a $20 Logitech mouse. But yeah, I mean, once I had that computer, it got me through all of college playing League and other games I wanted to play. I just went back to so they remade RuneScape into a game called Old School RuneScape in 2013. And then when I was burnt from League, I would just go play RuneScape again. So it was like I didn't even need a gaming computer to play that, but it was just like comfort food. Like playing that game is just like eating your favorite fast food meal over and over and over again for 12 to 16 hours a day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is, if I had more time with, if I was just me and my wife, I think I would play a lot of World of Warcraft, but it's one of those games where like, I'm either 110% or I'm not anything.
I tried so hard to get into WoW Classic because I thought if I missed WoW originally, WoW Classic would be good enough. And what I found was that everybody playing WoW Classic had already played a ton of WoW previously, and they're just kicking my ass. And after like a month, I just quit. But there was a bunch of people from crypto Twitter who were on either the same server or similar servers, and it was a thing for like a month or two, and then it kind of just died out.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun. Yeah, you picked the wrong one. You could have gone into regular WoW, like the newer WoW, because they made newer WoW way easier than old WoW was, and that's one of the reasons why I can't play, because it's like dumbed down to be stupid easy now. And the classic was like super, super hard. Like you'd spend 25 hours over 2 days in the same raid and maybe kill one boss. That was almost a part of the journey, though.
No, I mean, I think there's something about that. Right? You don't want to play games on easy mode. I'm somebody who never plays single player games like Zelda, Red Dead, any single player game. I don't play it. I'm just too competitive. I like play games for competition, not fun. So that kind of skews my perception of a lot of games.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I hate individual games as well, but I play video games to play with more people. I don't want to play against people. I do enjoy that. But I'm like more of like, let's get 20 people in the same chat and let's just run around together and have a good time. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I think now my version of that is like doing fantasy football best ball drafts with a group of like 50 people in Telegram and just throwing out messages like, hey, I'm running a draft right now, and then see if people join and like bullshit and talk shit in there. Like that's the closest thing I have to playing video games with friends these days.
Love that. I made a joke that me and TG should start a guild on Diablo. I couldn't imagine a crypto Twitter Diablo guild. It would be absolutely crazy, and especially if we streamed it. So who knows? Maybe that's in the future.
Yeah, Mrs. Deeze is playing a little Diablo. I think she just got it yesterday and was breaking it in. But Definitely not my type of game. I know friends who've spent days and years on Diablo 3. It's just they don't have anything to show for it. It's just like every other person I know who's spent most of their life playing games. It's bad.
True.
Like I'll be in a game for like 15 minutes. I'm just thinking to myself, like, I have so much shit I need to do, and like I'm just gonna go do the shit I need to do because I'm anxious about it while I'm wasting my time playing this fucking game.
Yeah, like I was literally, this is so funny you said that, because before this call I was talking to my business advisor, and I was like, I really want to schedule out like one night a week that I can play video games for maybe 2 hours. And then I told him, like, no, I still have like 45 things on my list to do this week. Like I couldn't even live with myself if I didn't work at night and I played a video game. And so it's like that. It's still like a balance, but it's also like I do have so much more to do if I get, instead of playing this.
Yeah, you just think to yourself, like, I have activities I can do that can move the needle, whether it's working out, whether it's, even fucking catching up on DMs and emails and messages sometimes feels like I need to do that before even playing games. But also, I'm somebody now, it's kind of a problem, but a lot of my family on my mom's side in particular is like the degenerate gambler type. And I always have to have some type of action on something. Like that's why I like the best ball drafts, because like each one, you have opportunity to win a league. Like the one that a lot of us are mass entering, the first place prize is $3 million. So it's like, that's an incentive to fucking grind that. Like I could get lucky. There's 660,000 entries or something into this tournament, and I can only have 150 of them. But if one of them gets lucky, I could win $3 million. Like that's way different than I'm in GTA rolling around shooting people while I'm invincible and running from the cops.
I love it. That's going to lead us straight into inspiration. I love this question. It's probably my favorite question of the podcast. What is one lesson in your life that you've learned the hard way?
I say it so much, but if it's the lesson that I've learned over and over again is that if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. Like just say no automatically. And that's probably a privileged take, because there are people who may not have enough opportunities where they can get a fuck yes opportunity to say yes to. But that is something I've learned the hard way, whether it is angel investments, NFT investments, trade positions, marriage, is a fuck yes. But in my previous relationships, they were not fuck yeses, and I learned that the hard way. And yeah, I mean,
it's almost like following your gut.
Yeah, it's following your gut, but also having some type of I want to say thesis, but like some type of plan while you're doing it. It's like having some type of data, or I don't know, like it's follow your gut, but I don't want to only follow my gut too. I think that's an important thing. Some people don't also have like a good gut and they follow their gut and they just get burnt over and over again. I've seen that on NFT Twitter a lot.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be really bad. Yeah.
Like, I got good vibes from this founder. I'm following my gut. I'm aping.
Don't do it. You're just sitting back. Don't do it. Please, no.
Yeah.
You ever seen Super Troopers?
Oh, it's been a minute. And like high school.
It's the best when he's in the back eating all the mushroom. He's like, please, no. So that's what I thought about with you saying the founder thing. All right. No, I love it. I think, if you feel that way and you have that thesis and you want to go, you go. And if you're not, you don't go. So I think that's great, because I think there's a lot of time in between of like, maybe you trying to convince yourself. And a lot of people do this where like they have this massive plan. It can be in so many different things when it's like, let's just do, and this is not necessarily for everything, but it's like trial and error over like this long thought out process that probably isn't going to work anyways, and turns into wasted time, but it translates to so many places in your life.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to waste too much time in your life. Like you only have one life. And it took me until like 2021 tripping on mushrooms to really realize that. I experienced ego death for the first time and walked away with a newfound gratitude of both like just being alive, and then also like, my time here is finite. I've probably spent a third of the time that I'll spend here already. And what am I doing? Like, am I really doing something that makes me maybe not happy, but fulfilled? Or, earlier you said passion and suffering. It's like, am I doing something I'm passionate about? And am I able to make that my, career. And like, if I can do that, I need to be doing that and not just wasting my time with other stuff.
Absolutely. No, I love that. What can you share a specific moment or event that sparked a significant change or transformation in your life?
Oh yeah, it would be that mushroom trip for sure.
Yeah.
It was the first time I ate an eighth of mushrooms. Before that, I had only taken a quarter or an eighth of a gram. So like 0.125 to 0.25, and then going up to 3.5. And that was, at the time, it was rough. Like the trip wasn't fun. Thought I was in hell. And I was like, this is a long story, but basically I thought I died, thought I went to hell, and then like was kind of trapped in purgatory in my head. And then a few hours later, which felt like an eternity later, I called a friend who walked me down, and then I smoked some weed and it kind of came back to reality. But the day after that trip, I just felt like a new person.
Yeah,
like
that's wild.
Born again in a way. Like, no, born again with a new perspective.
So let me ask you this, like, are you going to do mushrooms ever again?
So later on that year, I basically abused mushrooms, thinking, I smoke weed every day. Let me try eating mushrooms every day and see what happens. And I had like a span of 5 days between Christmas and New Year's where I was just out of reality. And at the end of the 5 days, I had to have Mrs. Deeze move the guns in the house because I thought that I needed to shoot myself to get out of this like inception level dream. But I knew that like that was wrong. But then like I also had this gut feeling that that's what I had to do. Like my gut was telling me, follow your gut. Like my gut would have went up and got the shotgun and put it in my mouth and been like, oh, I'm gonna get out of this dream. So after those 5 days, I've been a lot more cautious with mushroom use. I haven't eaten 3.5 grams again, and I don't think I've eaten more than 1.5 grams since then. I'm much more like a 0.5 gram to 1 gram guy every couple months now, where maybe I put on albums. I like queue up 4 to 6 hours of albums and just vibe, but definitely not chasing the like the perspective warping experiences where things are melting and I'm falling into the earth and I'm seeing rainbows. Like I'm not chasing that feeling anymore. And there might be a time in my life, like I'm completely open to having another one of those trips where I eat an eighth and go on a hero's journey, but I'm not trying to force it, and I'm not ready for it right now. Like I'll know it when I'm ready. It'll be like I was stuck in a rut for 6+ months and am starting to feel depressed again. Like that's when I'll go back to them for medicine. But until then, I'm chilling.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. That is it. That is
Yeah,
intense.
like use drugs responsibly. Like let me caveat this for people listening. If you are going to eat over 1 gram of mushrooms, do it around somebody that you trust. When you're around, for me, when I'm around Mrs. Deeze, it is kind of like having a totem or a safety net or something where if I think things are going wrong in the trip, it's like I can just check in with her and she just clears up any of that doubt. And then it allows me to go deeper on my own journey. I would not recommend for people to do psychedelics alone, or not heavy doses of psychedelics alone, especially if it's their first time. You just don't know what could happen. You don't know how your body will react. And you definitely want somebody around who cares about you and can tell you that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because
I definitely don't want to be like a role model who's just like, yeah, drugs. It's like, no. Like you definitely need to be intentful with the psychedelics. It's not smoking weed. It's completely different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is there a particular quote or mantra that serves as a source of inspiration for you?
Particular quote or mantra? I don't have one that comes to the top of my head, honestly. Like I don't have any quotes in the house or any of those like inspirational things up on a wall. I'd have to noodle on that one a little bit and think. I think a lot of what I think is just of like parables and frameworks in my head, but they're not really quotes. Like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions is a good one. I think you see a lot of people who, maybe an example of the road to hell is paved with good intentions is the art token. If you remember this whole fiasco, this guy who quote unquote wanted to help artists launched a token, fucked up the liquidity pool, gave all the ETH to the first buyer because he valued it 100x more than it should have been valued. And he basically like lost his community $300,000 and then left the space. And it's like, if your intention was like to help artists, like you should just probably buy art and not try to do some convoluted thing. But I think, with a lot of things in society, people might have good intentions, but they don't look at the second and third order effects of their actions behind those intentions. And then it becomes a road to hell. And there's just like other silly things like that I think about, but I don't really have like a quote or like an inspirational thing that I go back to get me pumped up or anything.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I think what you said is important, and having good intention is, I think having good intention these days is so important, and you can easily see when someone doesn't have good intention. It's very, if you're a very aware person and you listen to what people say, like you'd be like, oh yeah, like I don't think this person's got good intentions. And I think that's a really important thing to see in this day and age, to be honest.
Yeah, and even if they do have good intentions, it's like, how are they implementing whatever intention they have into their behavior? And then what effects does that behavior have on both themselves and society? Yeah. A lot of PFP project founders may have had good intentions. They launched projects in a bull market, made money, and thought they could stick around and do this. And now 2 years later, they just have people who are down 95% banging on their discords. These people are trying to put some type of utility or something out there, but it's just, they kind of, I never launched a project trying to capitalize on any of the hype because I could see this coming a mile away. But I know a lot of people who just came in the space in 2021 and wanted to do stuff, and now they're just like burnout and jaded, and their project floor is like $100 or something, and it used to be $10,000 or $5,000, and yeah, it's just like,
I definitely agree.
But yeah, I need to think about the quote stuff because I feel like there probably is something there. I'm just not thinking about it right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's all right. I would say, like, with something that you said there for me is, my quote that I live by is don't talk about it, be about it. And, with what you saying about the intent thing in the space, like people could have intent, and this is everywhere, not just in the space, but they can talk a big game, but they're not showing those actions. And that's kind of been my entire focus around my brand and what I'm about, because if I'm preaching these things, which, positivity and gratitude aren't easy things to preach in our world. It's like, I have to be doing that every single day, and I have to have those actions, because if I'm not putting in the work, then it's just a bunch of fluff. And I think people lack that, because like in our world today, like customer service is so low. And especially, like, I could just say examples in Vegas, like Vegas used to be all about customer service. Like back in the day with the casinos and the mob, like customer service was what this city was built on. And now it's just complete shit. And where it's like, it's normal not to have good customer service. And that translates to so many different levels of life, different ages, kids, accountability. And it's like, yeah, we can talk all this game and like, oh, I'll sell you $150,000 pool and I'll have it done in 3 months. And it takes them a year. It's like, well, that's what everybody else does. Right. So like, why wouldn't I do it? And I think that's why I live by that. That's my quote.
Yeah, just another maxim that kind of branching off that is I always try to underpromise and overdeliver with everything. I never want to be the person who's promising people the moon and, giving them not the moon. It's always like have super low expectations, set low expectations, and overdeliver whenever possible.
Yeah,
it's just a good way of going about life.
I agree. I think it's great. Do you seek inspiration from others, or do you stay true to, like, do you have inspiration from within? Like, is it a balance thing for you?
I probably seek it more from others than within. I'm pretty into reading and listening to biographies about successful people in the past and trying to get inspired by things that they did that may have been thought of as impossible at the time. And then also reminding myself that I'm capable of so much more than I give myself credit for. I think we all are. We all are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. But yeah, in terms of like internal inspiration, I really just my inspiration for a while was I just needed to end up better than my parents were. Like I didn't want to work the same jobs they had. I didn't want to be in the same class. I was like, okay, my inspiration is like to at least move up a class. And then, you know, I got lucky and now it's okay. Like, how do I stabilize this wealth and build it for, you know, my family and then my future family. And that's kind of where my inspiration is internally.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love that. I think that's good. I think you can draw inspiration from so many different places and within and from outside sources. I try to do a balance of both. So
Yeah, a couple generations ago, a lot of our you know, whether it was your grandparents or your great grandparents, they're probably immigrants to this country. And a lot of them probably had to either go to war or deal with a bunch of shit. Like I'm very thankful that I got to meet, I think 6 great grandparents, 5 or 6. And 2 of them fought World War II, and like getting that perspective at a young age of like, this is how shit used to be, right? There was a lot less technology to take advantage of and connect people, and a lot more violence and tumultuous times, whether it was the Great Depression, before the war, going into the war, and all that shit. You know, it really puts perspective on how good we have it today and how far we've come, you know, even after a few generations.
yeah, no, I agree completely. Yeah, man, we've come such a long way. So I think to lean back on shit like that, like I agree with you. I knew 3 of my great grandparents, and learning from them growing up was unbelievable, and learning the lessons that I carried throughout my life every single day. We're gonna move into positivity. Positivity is my jam. I'm on a mission to make positivity louder, and I think it's been proven how important it is and the benefits of it. So, you know, positive mindset, and if it's in its basic definition, is focusing on the good in any situation. So I want to ask you, is there any specific practices or habits that you've adopted to cultivate positivity in your life?
Um, Not as much as I should. I try to reframe things. Like if I'm really pissed off or down about something, I'll just try to change the frame or perspective. Like, you know, the classic thing is I fucked up and over allocated and lost a bunch of money in something. But then, you know, you just reframe it as like, I was extremely lucky to take that risk. And at the end of the day, it probably doesn't really matter that it went south. Like, or you reframe it as like, oh, I get to pay less in taxes. Like, yeah, that's a bonus. Like, yeah, I might have lost a lot of money on something, but like, at least I pay the government less because of it. So it's a lot of just like reframing or perspective shifting, but I don't have any like, I think just meditation, or I'm big on just going for walks and thinking. Like sometimes it's just, I'm gonna have AirPods in, I'm just walking and processing what's on my mind. And I think that is just something that is a cheat code. I spend a lot of time walking. And it really just helps me get through my like mental queue of bullshit that, you know, you have a lot of stuff on your mind, but sometimes if you don't take the time to process all of it, it kind of just stacks up like a bunch of papers for a teacher to grade or something. And if you don't keep up with it, the next thing you know, you're trying to grade like 5,000 papers in your head. And it's a lot to deal with. And then for me, you know, anxiety comes after that because I see the stack of papers, I'm ignoring it, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So that would be how I kind of try to look at it.
No, I love that. And you know what the funny thing about this question is, it is pretty much no right answer, right? Like you actually said 2 things that you do, and you might have in your mind maybe not thought those were the best answer, but like I don't even have the answer, right? And so it's like reframing is such a beautiful thing. And you know, I tell a quick story. Is I've told this before, but my middle son Blake has like, he's the worst sleeper. No, he's just such a bad sleeper. And so when he was like 1, he would wake up multiple times a night. And that was when I was working my old job, and I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and, you know, and I would need sleep because it was a physical job. And every time he'd wake up, my wife was breastfeeding the baby. So I would go up and I would go and soothe him back to sleep. And it could be multiple times. And I would get angry at him, be so angry at him of like, why aren't you sleeping? Everybody else is sleeping. And it was just a perspective shift. It was a reframe of like, no, like I get to do this. I get to go upstairs. I get to put him back to sleep. I get to be there for him. And this is something that I want to remember forever as being his dad and being able to do that. And since then, like, it don't matter. I can wake up 5 times a night. It's because I shifted that, and the reframing of what you said is so powerful. It's so incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's important to look at everything from different perspectives. And sometimes it's hard in the moment, but maybe the next day or maybe even a couple hours later, you just take a deep breath, start focusing your mind on a different perspective and see what happens. You can find the good in almost any situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. So there's this notion around like toxic positivity, right? But I think there's an incredible reason why positivity is so important. And the Lasada ratio is an example that I use a lot of times, where it says that you need 3 positive emotions to 1 negative emotion. So you need to kill 1 negative emotion with 3 positive emotions and affirmations. So I would ask you, like, what are some misconceptions people may have about positivity, and how do you think they can be addressed to overcome them?
I think, when I was less positive person, I would just look at the world in a very nihilistic way. Like, what's the point of any of this? Why does any of this matter? There's no meaning here. Like, I could die tomorrow. The world won't care. What am I doing here? And I think people get kind of stuck in ruts where they just don't think about anything they could do to change their life. They kind of just become victims of circumstance, and then maybe even like being victims, or maybe that's an excuse for them to just waste away because they don't think they can apply a positive mindset and be better. Like, it sounds really stupid, but manifesting and visualizing success, like, if your self-talk is just like, I suck at this, I'm never gonna get better, I'm ugly, like, I'm fat, I'm slow, no one's ever gonna date me, I'm gonna be an incel till I'm 50, like, I hope I can get the Vision Pro and have sex with somebody in there. Like, I think if that's your mindset on life, then you're gonna manifest that. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, if you spend 8 hours a day being anal on 4chan and reading all the dog shit, like, you're manifesting that. And I think people just need to take baby steps. It's not like you just turn a switch and the next day you're just smiling from ear to ear and everything's all good. But it's like, did I go for a walk? Did I work out? Did I eat healthy? Am I making any progress? Am I doing work that I'm passionate about? Did I like spend 30 minutes on a hobby or an hour doing something I like? Like, just trying to get small wins. A lot of people just want to go 0 to 100. Like, say you're 250 pounds or 300 pounds, you're trying to lose weight. Like, you're not going to lose 50 pounds in a week, but you could lose a couple pounds, and over time that compounds. Like, you have to play the long game, look at how your habits are impacting you. Like, I think it's definitely James Clear, who said something along the lines of your, I'm going to forget this. It's like your results are a lagging indicator of your habits or something like that. And it's basically like, you need to look at your habits when you're stuck in those ruts and just try to make small changes, whether it's went for a walk for an hour today. Like, I ate healthy, I worked out, I talked to a friend, like that type of stuff, and just get at it day after day. Like, maybe you have a small win today, you have 2 small wins tomorrow. Maybe you take a step back, you only have 1 small win the next day. Maybe one day you don't have any small wins. Like, be compassionate with yourself. Don't tell yourself like, oh, I fucking suck again, like I didn't even fucking do that thing. It's like, no, like, don't have 2 days where you don't have any small wins. Like, that's where it sucks. Like, if you keep going without small wins, it's like, try to tell yourself, okay, I didn't, maybe I just played video games for 16 hours yesterday and I didn't shower and I just sat and looked at the screen. Like, that's how my old life used to be. Like, especially when I was in long distance relationships, I would go to class, come home, sit in front of the computer and go to bed. And some days I didn't shower, some days I didn't eat, because I just wanted to grind the video game. But it wore down my mental and my physical psyche. And I would just say people need to look at the long game. Like, you're going to be here for a long time. Like, a lot of people in our space are probably under the age of 40, you have more than half your life left. Like, start making some small changes that you can look back in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and be really happy that you made those changes, and the results will speak for themselves.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I think small changes will take you so many places in your life, and manifesting is exactly, I fucking love manifesting, man. I've been telling people since I was 18 that I'm going to retire at 35, and I'm going to fucking do it. And I'm going to tell everybody about it because I want them to manifest for me. I want them to go tell their grandmas about this kid that they met that's going to said he was going to retire at 35. He doesn't, know how, but he's going to put in the work. So I love that. Listen, let's get into enthusiasm. I love enthusiasm. You know this, Deeze. I bring it every single day. I have energy out the fucking, I was born with it, but I love it and I breed it and I bring it. So the first question is, what are 3 things in your life right now that you're obsessed with?
3 things I'm obsessed with. Well, I'm on day 6 of a 1 month long tolerance break for weed, but my obsessions in life were a mixture of like weed, NFTs, crypto, art, etc., and then video games. Those are like kind of the 3 pillars. But as time went on, I've kind of replaced video games with like books and learning and podcasts and shit. So right now I'm obsessed with a lot of business-minded podcasts, whether it is Acquired or I've always loved Invest Like the Best. That was the first business podcast I found in 2018 when I was broke and trying to teach myself how to think about operating something that's successful, and also just some personal finance stuff. But yeah, I would say now it is a mixture of still obsessed with weed, even though I'm on a tolerance break. Like I look at weed probably like wine sommeliers look at wine. Like that's kind of how I view myself with the weed stuff. And then obviously the crypto space, I eat, breathe, live this space. And then probably the podcast business side of things is the third one.
So are you on 30 days completely clean?
Yeah, I'm going to do the full month off. Yeah.
Wow. Has that been hard so far?
Honestly, no. Like I'm somebody, when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I do it. I told myself I was going to take a 7-day break in January to host the season 2 podcast in New York. And it was super easy. And I got home and I went like 10 or 12 days, even though I was only aiming for 7, because I was just like, I'm just keep doing it. And then I was the same. Like I told a lot of people before June started, like once June starts, and there's sober June. There's no NFT events. It's nice outside, like sober June. I haven't taken a month break from marijuana in 6 years. Like I need a break. Like my brain is probably permanently different because of how much weed I smoked. And it's just good to have a break, especially, and I had planned sober June before the company I was working for dissolved. And then it was, an even better reason to be sober, because I need to figure out where I'm going to, align myself for the next at least year or two. And I want a clear mind for that. I don't want to make that decision in a hazy state. So it's been pretty easy. The first 3 nights were shitty sleep. I mean, anybody who smokes a lot of weed and takes a tolerance break, the first 2 to 3 days, appetite, you kind of have to force yourself to eat a normal amount. And then at night, you're going to experience dreams for the first time in a long time. Like, when you smoke weed before bed, you don't dream. So I'm not used to having dreams, which is maybe weird to say. But, I had a dream the second night, my first dream on the tolerance break, that like my grandma broke into my house and I didn't know it was my grandma. And I was sitting in our bedroom with my shotgun pointed at the door, and then my grandma turned the corner and I almost blew her out of the room. And then I realized it was my grandma, but it's like, what the fuck dream is this? Like last time I took a tolerance break, I had a dream I was getting chased by a elephant-sized cat that was just completely bloody and mangled. Like it looked like it got in a fight with Godzilla and then was like chasing after me. So I have crazy dreams, I guess, when I'm coming off the weed. But the last 2 nights, I wear a Whoop, which is like this band that tracks a bunch of your health shit, and it tells you about your sleep. And the last 2 nights, I've gotten the right amount of deep and REM sleep, and like I'm back to normal basically. So,
do you like the Whoop?
Yeah, I don't want an Apple Watch because too much of my life revolves around my phone already, and I don't want an extension of my phone on my wrist. I like that the Whoop has no screen and it's super minimal. I've been using it since September of 2022, I think. So almost going on a year now, 9 months. And I like it. It really holds you accountable because you can see like there's times 5 days go by and I haven't worked out or strained myself. And I'm like, okay, like I need to do something. Like there's no hiding from this. It's all here.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. Like any way you can hold yourself accountable to your goals is really important. So yeah, definitely if you're somebody who the other thing I like about the Whoop is the battery lasts like 4 or 5 days. It's not like the Apple Watch where you have to charge it every day. So that's another benefit of using it. Like you don't need to I didn't charge it. Like I can't use it today.
Yeah. Dude, and
Apple,
how much, I don't even know how much a Whoop is, but I'm probably gonna buy one. But like Apple Watches are crazy. Like I just bought I actually can't say that live, but anyways, a gift for someone, and it was just like still expensive, and it wasn't even like top of the line. Like I was just like, dude, this is wild. Like I don't know why this is. I mean, they're nice, right? I'm not saying I'm not downplaying them. I'm just like, this is fucking crazy.
it's a lot. And then the next year a new one comes out and you're
Yeah.
like, well, fuck, like I have to buy that one. I think the Whoop is I think I paid I'm trying to remember what the plans were. I think they have like a 2-year plan that's the cheapest. So I just aped the 2-year plan. I might be completely misremembering this, but it might be like 2 years is $200 or $300. But if any new Whoops come out, like you get a new Whoop for free. So like if they make a Whoop 5, or I think they're on 4 now. So if they make like a Whoop 5.0, then you get it for free as part of your membership.
That's cool. That's dope.
So it's like less than an Apple Watch for 2 years.
That's cool. That makes sense.
Okay, I looked it up, so I'm not full of shit. It's $400 for 2 years, $239 for 1 year, or $30 a month.
That's easy. Yeah.
If you buy the annual membership or the 2-year membership, you get a brand new Whoop included. If you do the month one or the free trial, I believe they give you like a pre-owned device and not a new one. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, Whoop's going to sponsor the podcast, so I appreciate you, Deeze. This can be sick sponsorship. I think people are going to love to hear about it on Twitter. Whoop, if you're listening, definitely hit me up. I've got definitely structured plans for you. Now, listen, before the last question, I kind of want to frame it because, I think enthusiasm is so important and it's kind of slept on because enthusiasm elevates everyone around you. It's one of the most unique things that I have is that when I'm around people, my energy elevates them. It could be, we could be doing anything. We'd be having lunch, we could be going on a walk, but the energy that I carry myself with, the enthusiasm in my soul elevates others around me. So how do you think you can leverage that to motivate and inspire others in your life or your professional life?
Yeah, I'm somebody, I think smoking a bunch of weed probably makes me like less enthusiastic than my baseline, or I don't know. I think for me, when I think of enthusiasm, I think of like very intense energy. And it's normally positive energy. Like you and Farouk are 2 people who come to mind when I think of enthusiasm. It's like why I like Farouk and being around him so much, because like he gives me energy because he has so much. But yeah, I don't. Am I even answering? What was the question again? Am I even answering the question?
Not really, but I do love because me and Farouk, when we were on a podcast here, it was absolutely amazing. And
the energy was probably through the fucking roof. You're probably like ready to run through the wall like Kool-Aid Man after.
We were drinking cocktails too. It was a good time.
Oh yeah, that even helps. But yeah, I mean, enthusiasm's tough. Like I think I am enthusiastically curious, maybe. Like I think my curiosity is what gives people energy when they're around me, because I will just ask them question after question and just let them talk. And I like getting to the bottom of things and like picking their brain. And a lot of people like to talk about themselves. So if you just keep asking them questions about themselves, they'll just keep talking and then they like that. So I think the way that I maybe spread enthusiasm is through my intense curiosity, more so than like intense energy or personality.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I answered the question with that.
No,
But
I like that. I like that for sure. Do you feel like, so I love that curiosity thing because I think that's very personal, but do you think on a surface level, when you get excited about things, that you elevate people around you?
yeah, I probably get maybe too excited about things, then overhype things, and then I've become more cautious to do that, and then it probably has made me less enthusiastic because I've seen my enthusiasm turn into people losing money or getting hurt. I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm not going to be enthusiastic about things anymore in public, or maybe like things that people can invest in a decentralized way. And like maybe I'll be less enthusiastic on those things, and I'll be more enthusiastic about like hanging out in person. Yeah.
No, I like it. I there's a balance, dude. There's a balance because I can get excited about a lot of stuff, right? Like when my Pepe shot up, and then I told my wife I shouldn't have told my wife what it was worth because I didn't sell at the top. So
Yeah, that's the worst. Once you start telling anybody, it's like the screenshot rule. You take a screenshot of the price and you're like, wow, I'm a genius. It's like, yeah, you should sell it or you're not a genius.
yeah, yeah, big mistake. But at the end of the day, listen, I didn't judge myself on that. It was the first time I traded shit coins, but no, I feel you on the excited thing. The last segment is dreams, and I actually love dreams because it's just one question. And when I first started this show, I was like, man, what's one question I can ask that it's going to be super fucking hard? And I thought it was this question, and it ended up like not being hard, and everybody crushes it. So the question is, what is the dream that you have for your life? And I'm going to tell you my dream, and then you're just going to say off the top of your head, off your soul, what the dream for your life is. So I'm Gentle Tornado. I am an honest, enthusiastic, and successful man that will inspire others to live their life through happiness.
That's good. My dream is that I financially secure my parents' future so that they can retire early because they made a lot of sacrifices for me to get where I'm at. And, hopefully have some kids, raise a beautiful family, and contribute to the world in a way where, I, I never anticipated I would have any presence on social media that people would care about. Like I was just always myself, and didn't really have a dream to ever become popular or inspire others or any of that shit. So that was never part of the plan. It was always more like, how do I take care of my family and give back to them what they sacrificed for me? And then how do I set up my future family for success while also not pampering them so much that they can just infinitely fuck up, but always have a safety net. Like there's some balance there. And yeah, I guess that might probably not the best dream. You definitely overhyped it when you said people crush this, because I'm not somebody who like sits down and writes lengthy dreams or goals or anything. It's much just day by day, brick by brick.
No, listen, I love it. I think what you said was from your heart, man, and you wanted to take care of your parents. I think is incredible, and I thought it was great. You didn't stumble your words. Listen, I'm going to share you my screen. I'm going to share you my favorite poem. This is my favorite poem. It's called The Dash. It says, I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following day with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash?
I have heard that one before.
You have?
Yeah, I don't remember where, but a while ago, I definitely heard that one before.
How do you feel about it?
Good. I think for a while I wasn't spending my dash well. You kind of ask yourself, if I died tomorrow, how many people would show up to my funeral? And for a while, it'd just be like, oh, my family, and that'd probably be it. And now I probably would have more people that show up at my funeral than just my family, maybe. Think I've done a better job, but hopefully my dash is a lot longer than like today.
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow is the last day, it'd be okay. I'd be happy with it. But ideally, you get some more time to live out that dash.
Yeah, I love it. So listen, how we wrap it is you get to ask the audience one question, and then you just get a final statement. It could literally be anything. So one final statement, one final question.
My question to them would be a question I tweeted the other day. I think I got it from Read Wise Note from Atomic Habits from James Clear. But it was, are you becoming who you want to become? And it kind of just goes off everything we've said where, think about what you want to be in life. And are you taking steps to be that person? Or are you just saying you want to be that thing, but not actually doing anything to put you in a better position to be that thing? And wait, what was the second part? Shit. After the question, there was another part.
Just a final statement.
Oh, I mean, the final statement would just be thank you, man. This has been fun. I have been watching your videos for I think a year now. Somebody a long time ago added you and me and said we needed to know each other or something. I forget how I even saw the first video, but they were like, Deeze, you need to follow Gentle Tornado. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I clicked on your profile and saw you in the Snap-on truck just doing a dance, just being yourself. And I was like, wow, this dude's awesome. He's being himself 100% authentically in public. And I always love people who aren't afraid to be themselves, unapologetically. And I think you embody that pretty damn well. So honored to have the opportunity to speak with you. And yeah, that would be my final statement. I don't have anything wise or anything to drop on the crowd after that.
I mean, listen, you've already dropped wise stuff, and you leaving him with a banger of I appreciate that a lot, man. And
are you becoming who you want to become?
I am 100%. And it's hard to, when you're chasing this crazy, I have a crazy big vision about my foundation that I'm starting and the mental health that I'm embarking on. But man, I just when this is so funny that how this happened, but this story of I opened VCon, and I don't know if you knew that, but
yeah,
that whole story of, me being on this mental health journey of helping people, and, kind of my wife being like, why are you doing these things? Why are you doing these podcasts at 8:00 at night in the back of our backyard? Why are you doing these videos of you dance? Why are you doing all this? Why are you GM rapping? And to get that call to open a conference of that level with the level of speakers was I thought, what would my parents say? They would be proud. And I cried for over an hour, because it was just wow, I'm literally doing what I said I'm going to do, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to keep being that person. And as long as I can stay true to that, I know that that's what I want to do. So I can comfortably say that for sure.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man. When you can tell your parents something like that and know that they're proud of you. I said my dad listens to the podcast, and my in-laws follow me on Twitter. And a lot of my family, I was probably a bad role model for my brother for a while, because he's 16, and when he was 14 got caught vaping, and I was like, oh yeah, that's probably my GM picks. He thinks that's what to do. And I'm like, that's another reason I stopped posting them so much, as I realized maybe I'm not being a good role model and making everybody super proud. But then I also have to authentically be myself. And if that is part of myself, I'm still going to authentically express it. But there's a kind of a line there. But it's nice when the universe gives you that feedback, Gary, recognizing all the positive energy you put in the world, and then allowing you to spread those positive energies with a bigger audience at a physical event. Just that type of feedback is awesome. Yeah, just lets you know that you're doing the right thing on your journey.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm grateful. And what's funny is I had this meeting with this their peer-to-peer therapy is their company, and I really want to either work with them somehow or get them to sponsor me somehow, because I'm a big advocate of therapy and making it cool again. And never, I don't know if it's ever been cool, but putting an emphasis on it's okay to go to therapy. It's actually amazing. And I told him, I was I opened up a business conference called VCon, and then he, like, while we were on the call, he had no idea. He didn't even know who Gary was. And he went on and he, like, started looking at the speakers. And he was like, "You opened this conference?" And I was like, yeah, like, it was, like, I was in the, like, that's not why I told him. I was just like, it was pretty cool. And he was like, "Oh, no, like, this list of speakers is insane." And that was kind of the opportunity that it was. And now I can leverage that for pretty much ever. And so that's also another thing that's made me super fortunate.
Yeah, that's awesome. And shout out to Gary for VCon. It's it's the only event I speak at. I made the mistake of speaking without a mask at NFT NYC 2021, and a bunch of people were like taking pictures of me on stage and tweeting at me, and it was fucking weird because I asked people explicitly not to do that. And ever since then, I wear a mask or something just so people don't do that. So with Gary, being so open to pseudo-anonymous people, and then the way that he picks cities where, like, the only thing we get to do is hang out with each other because they're these, like, Midwestern cities that aren't New York or LA or Miami. Like, I think it's really smart. I feel really close to all the people who are at VCon. Really like the speaker only areas where you can go lounge, get food, get some drinks, vibe with all the other people. Like, it's just a good conference. The first year I went, I had really low expectations. I was like, yeah, I mean, they're gonna let me wear a mask. Like, I'll go talk, whatever. Like, let's do it. And then it went so well, and I was like super stoked for this year. And I'll be excited for next year. Hopefully, get invited back. But I just enjoy the conference a lot, and I think Gary's brought a lot of people into the space who wouldn't have been here without him. Like, he tapped into his audience that he's been growing for a decade plus, and onboarded them. I remember back when he released the first VFriends, I didn't mint them, or I've never flipped VFriends. I don't even think I've ever owned a VFriend. Let me put that out there. But the way that Gary was, like, making guides to hold people's hands to get them onboarded on MetaMask, like showing them how to buy ETH, showing them how to set up MetaMask, explaining the security stuff, like getting them to be skeptical and on high alert of Discord DMs and Twitter DMs and people trying to steal their crypto, and then, like, bringing them all into the space. It's just done a net positive, and it's been a pretty cool thing to watch, because I remember Gary from the Punks chat. He joined in 2021, and I didn't believe it was him. So I tweeted at him on Twitter, and I was like, "Is this you in the Punks chat?" And it was, because he responded back on his main Twitter account. I was like, holy shit, like, that's interesting. And then he's telling all his friends to buy punks. And then obviously him telling all his friends to buy punks made me a lot of money, because I had bought all my punks before then. And yeah, just super fucking thankful for Gary.
That's going to be a good clip. Honestly. And I think we should end it there. Listen, Deeze, I appreciate you so much, man. This has been Hyped Happy Hour. Listen, for everybody listening, do me a favor, like, subscribe, help me spread positivity, help me change the world. And I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Thank you, dude. It's a vibe.